In 2026, an active U.S.-Israel precision kinetic strike hits a high-security command compound. The target is the apex of the Iranian leadership. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is dead. His removal ends a decades-long tenure at the center of the regime. His death creates a power vacuum during an active regional war and historic domestic unrest. The state structure is under maximum stress. This event serves as a structural test of the Iranian state architecture. Western observers often focus on which cleric will succeed him. The data indicates the succession is a struggle for structural control, rather than a debate over religious seniority. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, controls the state's monopoly on force. They are the true power brokers. We will map how the IRGC utilizes this vacuum to consolidate control over the state. The 2026 succession marks the transition from a theocracy to a stratocracy, a government run by military commanders. The Vilayat-e Faqih places the supreme leader at the absolute top, the structural keystone. On one side, the clerical assembly of experts is legally responsible for choosing the successor. On the other side, the IRGC manages the military and vast economic sectors. Khamenei functioned as an arbiter, balancing these two pillars to maintain state stability. This is the assembly of experts. It is a body of 88 aging scholars with limited institutional reach beyond the religious sphere. While the assembly holds the constitutional right to choose a successor, it possesses no independent military force to enforce its decision. Without a supreme arbiter, the outcome is determined by whichever entity can project the most force. When the keystone is removed, the structural load shifts toward the IRGC. The IRGC uses its intelligence apparatus to vet and exert leverage over potential clerical candidates. They also control Iran's fossil fuel economy, providing the financial resources necessary to sustain the government. An active war against the U.S. and Israel demands centralized command. The military will not accept a leader who limits their operational freedom. The IRGC also manages the axis of resistance, the network of proxy militias across the region. This requires a leadership capable of directing military assets in real time. The next supreme leader will likely serve as a figurehead, providing religious cover for IRGC policy. The vacuum creates three probable trajectories. Path A is an IRGC-backed clerical consensus, maintaining the appearance of institutional continuity. Path B is a military dictatorship that openly bypasses the clerics. Path B risks losing the religious legitimacy the state uses to demand public sacrifice during wartime. Instability is most likely to come from internal factionalism within the IRGC itself, with different branches backing competing candidates. These paramilitary groups are highly ideological. If their individual leadership factions clash over the succession, the entire state's security apparatus could fatally fracture. Internal paralysis within the IRGC would leave critical infrastructure and nuclear sites exposed during the ongoing conflict. Intelligence circles often debate whether killing the supreme leader leads to a revolution. The regime change matrix maps the relationship between civilian opposition capacity and the state's control of force. Civilian populations in Tehran face constant surveillance and lack the hardware required to challenge the military. A successful revolution requires breaking the state's monopoly on force. The IRGC controls the Basij, a paramilitary militia dedicated to domestic suppression. Their equipment and organization dwarf the resources of the civilian populace. The IRGC's control of domestic suppression and its cohesion against external threats makes a civilian-led overhaul unlikely, unless the IRGC's own command structure is also destroyed. In 2026, the power structure settles into a new configuration. The IRGC moves to the top, while the supreme leader becomes a subordinate node. The removal of Khamenei accelerates the transition into a military stratocracy. This consolidated military government is incentivized toward more aggressive posturing across the region. Ballistic missiles and other strategic assets are now under direct IRGC command. The regional threat is a hyper-nationalist command structure, fighting a multi-front war. The core entity of the state remains intact, even as the internal hierarchy completely transforms. The succession is decided by the movement of the IRGC's security and economic assets.